Hey everyone, Luke here, and well, it doesn't look like we're gonna get the Nico, Charmy, and Nemu training arc like I was so hoping for. Hopefully, the best I can look forward to at this point is, hey, we get like a flashback for when Nico comes back to what exactly happened. That's the best I can hope for at this point. But yeah, a little bit disappointed that we're not getting that, but hey ho, it's what you have. As we move into yet another arc, not sure how long this arc is going to be. Whether it's going to be like just 3 chapters or 2 chapters or even 4 chapters. But hey ho, let's just enjoy this while we have it. So this is chapter 215, titled "The Student Council Succession Saga, Part 1." Now, with that, you would expect like, okay, it's going to be a little bit of time, but yeah, I don't see this being like a serious like major arc unless something does happen, like because we learn from the end of this chapter that it seems like all the members of the Otagari house are gonna try and be on the council, and whether or not that's gonna have any implications for later on, that remains to be seen, and we'll talk about that later on. But yeah, so for now we start off with the student council president and all the student council members with the announcement that, hey, the 3rd trimester is beginning, and as they mentioned in the message that was already sent to them, while we're all down about our days thinking what we still have left, fall ending the new year has begun, so it's time that I officially announce my retirement from the post of student council president, because he's like in his final year at the school. He's going to be moving on to college, so it's about time he did retire, and he's got to find his replacement. So he's thanking everyone for following this part, but as you can tell from the pages, like everyone, despite them still being in character today, you can still tell like, okay, they're all very depressed. They're all like, oh man, it's that time already. Because you really don't think about like when you start out something like a major project, like a film, TV, or even being part of student council, like you don't think like, oh, the day's actually going to come where it's all actually going to have to come to an end and you're going to have to move on to other things. And for them, it is that time, as we see the various members of the council giving their own takes on it. That some of them only really joined the council because they wanted because the president wanted their skills, and they're all like, oh, this was the golden days for all of us, and now it's ending. They're gonna miss it. They're gonna miss it, like all the time they spent together, and even the president's just like, hey, some of you are even in like your 1st year or your 2nd year, so you can still be part of the council. You can still be part of this regiment, even though I'm not here. But the president's not getting the idea of like, oh, okay, no, the reason why they're feeling this down is because he's moving on. So like that major crux that they had for each other, like he was the backbone of this entire student council. So like when he's moved and somebody else comes in, it's gonna have a different atmosphere and a different environment. Even someone like Psycho, I love that. I love this character's name, like the fact that he's a psycho and he's literally called Psycho. I do love that character's name. But even he's feeling depressed because he's always been seen as an outcast, probably because of the fact that of the way he acts and the fact that his name is literally called Psycho. And when he was at his loneliest, the president came along and took him in, and this was where he's found his confidence to build himself up, to get help from people, to become basically someone in the school that's not saying like, oh, this is the weird Psycho guy, stay away from him. And it was thanks to the president that school was really fun for him and everything. And this is where everyone else is like, yeah, this is exactly right. Everyone was treating me like a weirdo, and even the robot guy, like the guy who dressed up like a robot, is like, your circumstances are similar to mine. Before the president says, everyone's much too emotional to be of any use today. So he's like, okay, right, the council was officially disbanded once we passed the torch to the next president. Until then, I expect you to give your duties for your utmost. And this is where everyone gets really ramped up and everything. Before we cut over to Jekyll, who we if you remember, Jekyll joined the student council along with Rabuku, who was one of the antagonists in the Day of Disaster arc, who's now become more of a supporting character. And Jekyll's asking her, like, what are you going to do? Do you want to be on the student council after all this is said and done? And Rabuku's saying, like, not my choice. Council meetings are appointed by the president, right? Though if the next president wants to appoint me, I might think it over. Obviously, depending who it actually is, like if Rabuku even likes the new student council president, whoever it's going to be, and Jekyll is just thinking about everything that's going on here before he decides to go on patrol with the president. And as the patrolling, as they're giving out rules and regulations for each other, talking to one of the students from class 1-3 about, hey, leaving your school bag on top of the lockers here, and this is where he assumed she had a tournament coming up and she's going straight to school for practice. And the student's like, how do you know that? It's like, do you know, like, the president actually knows about everyone in this school? So after Jekyll has observed this situation with the president and this student and how it's all been resolved and everything, he's asking the president, like, I'm not sure that I can fill your shoes, which again makes very much sense for someone like Jekyll's perspective. Like, Jekyll wants to be the student council president, but it's like unsure of, like, will I be a worthy successor to you? Like, will I do things too differently, or do things too similar? Like, what should I do? Like, how should I go about this? And the president's there, like, Jekyll, you know about all of this. I've told you once before, you don't have to be me. Like, you don't have to copy everything that I do. You just have to be your own person, because you are you. No amount of copying me is going to be able to do things that I replicate, that are better, that are exactly the same. You've got to make your own decisions, make your own choices, and whether or not they succeed or fail, that is down to you. But you can't, like, think like, oh, what did the president do in this situation? What would the president do, etc. You would be the president, and it would have to be down. It would have to be down to you. You can take inspiration from me. You are just your own person. You've no need to copy me. I'm having you watch me as I work, so that you can all see my faults and my methods, and like how you can overcome them. The student council president chooses their council, chooses members who you can get along with, and who you'll make for the who will make up for your shortcomings, not make up for my shortcomings. Build a student council that you know you can trust and understand. And Jekyll still is not getting this. Like, he's still clueless about, like, this is going to be my council, not his council. It's going to be my council. It's like, I'll build a council like yours. No, a council that's formed on the ideas you uphold. I promise I will, President. And the president at this point is just like, well, you really have developed quite the tongue. I get destructive urges when they get bad enough, though I completely lose control without the help of friends. I wouldn't be able to fit in normal part of society. So this is what Jekyll is saying, and how the fact that he's had friends that have actually been able to be like, okay, my faults are that I get too over emotional, get too excited, and brings out my hide side, but having friends around that are able to keep me under control has really helped me to become much more social, much more better. So that's exactly why I have to be student council president, and not just any old president. I must be one who couldn't understand and sympathise with all kind of students, because you can imagine, like, the students that we've seen at this school at the moment, there's only like a handful of them, and they're all just like really crazy, really wacky. You can just imagine, like, the amount of students that are even going to come into the school, that it's going to be 10 times as wacky and 10 times as crazy. And of course, in true silly Witch Watch fashion, once the president sees Morihito, he's like, hey Morihito, I know you're here, so you're going to join the student council. You're going to join the student council president. You're going to join the student council right now. You're going to join my council. And Jekyll's there like, how can you even do this at this point in time? Like, seriously, you have been doing this time and time and time again. And even though you've just announced your retirement from the student council, you're still trying to recruit Morihito, even though you're not going to be the student council anymore. You can just imagine, like, even if Morihito was just like eating a burger at a burger stand, just minding his own business, the president would just be coming out like, you're going to join my company. Like, you can just imagine, like, when they get out of school, there's going to be like a gag like that. Like, you're going to join my company. You're really going to join, even though it might not be something Morihito knows about. So, like, I don't know. Just looking around my room now, for example, like, even if the student council president goes into making picture frames, like, seriously, I can just imagine, like, a scenario, like, if the student council president went into making picture frames, and even went into making pictures for the picture frames, and then he sees Morihito's like, you're going to join my company, you're going to make a picture frame of cats, and you're going to frame that picture frame absolutely perfect, and Morihito would just be like, I don't understand what to do, I'm not an artist in any way, I'm not a picture frame guy in any way, why are you making me, like, do this? Like, I don't care, you're just going to join me right away. You can just imagine, like, that's the kind of situation that would be when they get out of high school. But of course, after all of this is said and done, the president should say, like, oh, of course, allow me to apologise for my disrespect. Whenever I see Otigo now, I start chasing after him without consciously realising. So it's like just a flick of straight. Just sees him like, I'm going to join him in whatever he is, despite the fact that I clearly have no idea what he's going to do in this situation. And yeah, Jekyll's asking the age-old question of just how much have you chased him, but now at this point in time, it's like pure reflex. Whenever I see anything dark that comes to a point at the top, I have to reach for it. And Jekyll again should say, like, what kind of habit is that? So yeah, he's going through all the the student council president is going through all the habits that he has, and it's just Jekyll reacting. For example, I can't help but casually scan the crowds looking for a wayward hair spike behind the school back alley, even though I know it will be there. So like casually just scan, like, is Morihito there? Is Morihito there? It's Otagimi here. It's Otagimi here. So at this point, the president's like apologising, like he don't intend to continue trying to recruit him. But yeah, Morihito at this point is just kind of like, he's kind of like at this point like, you know what? It's part of my daily routine right now. So yeah, I'm just beyond the point of even caring right now. If you decide to ask me or not, like, it's gone on too long. I've kind of gotten used to it. And this is where Jekyll says, like, oh, he sees Morihito and his body, just responds, how obsessive with him has it been? A little bit too obsessive, Jekyll. You've not been here since the beginning of the series, so you don't know how obsessive the student council president can actually be with this guy. So after all the antics, they eventually all sit down and the president explains to Morihito what is actually going on here. And Morihito says, like, oh, it took you long enough in your last trimester of your last year. So what about college exams? Shouldn't you be studying for that? This school gives the student council way too much powers if the president is allowed to decide when he steps down. This is where the president's like, oh, I get all of that a lot. Before Morihito says, like, I assume that after all was said and done, that you were just gonna give Jekyll the role of the student council, since he wants it more than I do, and he's very keen on it. You would think that the president would be like, oh, no biggie, I'll just give it to Jekyll. I don't have to worry about doing like a debate, running for president. If Jekyll wants it, so I'm gonna give it to him. But I am glad that they're actually not just giving it to Jekyll in all said and done. Like, Jekyll has to like earn it. It's like not just throwing it out, because it's a big job being a president of anything. So yeah, Morihito says, like, why not just announce him as your successor? And Jekyll's like, oh, I'm sure the president still has things to do. This is where the president's like, no, I just can't name him simply as my successor because another candidate has recently stepped forward, and this was something that Jekyll had no idea about. If Jekyll was the only candidate, I could have named her a successor on the spot, and that would have been it, which makes sense. That does make sense, but also, I like I said, I'm glad that Jekyll has to like actually fight to earn the position of student council president, to earn the trust of others, not just being like, oh yeah, this guy's the new student council president. Like, why? Because nobody else would take the job, so I'm giving it to him. And that would just be a way to just like bring everything crashing down. So yeah, Jekyll, you have to fight to earn this position. But when, and they go on to say like, oh, when multiple candidates are put forward, student rules dictate that a debate be held to each of them to allow themselves to like, okay, these are my credentials, this is what I want to bring to the school, and you'll be able to vote for it. And that means Jekyll, start preparing for a debate for him, please. And Jekyll's just like, all right, but yeah, Jekyll was majorly surprised by this. So he's like, okay, I've really got to put my best foot forward about this. But yeah, this is where the president's like subtly indicating like, Morihito, this is where maybe you'll get your chance to be in the ring. Like, I'm not asking you to join the council. I'm asking you to consider like maybe being the student council president. And of course, Morihito's just there like, no, I don't have any. I'm not gonna do it no matter how many times you try. But yeah. The president says, Morihito, just think about it before we cut over to the house. And yeah, this is where we get, like I said, the disappointment of this is that we're not getting a Nico out, because Nico, from this text that Morihito gets from Ibuki, it says that, oh, Nico is finally has her original body back and she's going about daily life, no problem. So yeah, the training arc happened off screen. A little bit disappointed, but hey ho, like I said, the best thing I can hope for at this point is that we get a flashback to see if Nemu and Charmy were actually part of this along with Nico. So yeah, they get the retrieving the butterflies did give her all the spells back, but our memories haven't returned as smoothly as we had hoped, and they're there, but in a fragmented jumble because her mind hasn't probably sorted themselves out. She often forgets things, and like her memory is scrambled, like trying to pinpoint where everything is together. And this is going to be a different problem for Nico move forward. They expect something like this might have, but the issue is academic ability, because the ramifications of Nico being turned into a little girl has had major consequences on her high school life, as we'll soon learn. Since what she learned in school didn't come back to her nearly in the proper order, she's having trouble piecing everything together. So now Nico is as dumb as a bag of rocks, even more dumber than she was before. So she's trying to get. So Nico's mother Ibuku is trying to get her back on the right track to fix everything. As the boys are like, so what's going to happen to her? So what's going to happen now? There's not much we can do about it, and I'm sure she'll be fine if she simply refuses everything in order. But Morita's like, no, this is even a bigger deal than we have right now, because the only test that we have left now is the end of term test, and her overall score would decide if she fancies the next grade or not. But since Nico's already been held back a year, yeah, because this sort of taken over a year to get her back to this point, which again, I'm glad that we spent just as much time on this part of the story as we did on the first part of the story. But like I said, I really wish we had got a little bit of training arc. But like I said, maybe a flashback after this little mini arc or saga or whatever it's going to be. Hopefully that's the best, like I said, the best we can get. So yeah, basically if Nico fails this final test, she'll be expelled from the school. So yeah, big major problem coming forward for everyone here. And Carnage is panicking over everything, like, no, wait, she'll be fine. Remember that once when we used the memorizing to charm for that? No using spells, because my actual crux on it, like, if Nico uses any spells, that will be like an immediate expulsion. So yeah, she's got to memorize 1 hour's worth of material on finals. But no, that's not even the biggest problem. Like, the memory spell will only let her memorize over 1 hour's worth of material, and finals are going to cover absolutely everything over the entire school year. So yeah, major bit of a problem right now. So there's no way they to cram everything from a year into an hour long. So yeah, they're all looking majorly depressed by now, and yeah, the situation has gotten seriously bad for them, so there must be a way for that for them to do it before Keigo brings up like, oh, what about scholarship students? I could have sworn that our school offers special scholarships, not just for academic stuff, either like sports. If someone does good enough at sports, they'll still pass to the next grade despite their test. And Morihito's like, yeah, there is a slight problem there because Nico has never been in any sports, so there's no way she'll get chosen. Not only that, she hasn't been in high school for over a year, Keigo. And he said, and Keigo goes on to say, that's why we just have to make them choose her. I mean, the next student council president is Jekyll, right? So this is where they all start getting the ideas turning in their heads. Give him a nice gift, maybe buttering it up, and let him ask for a teeny little bit of favour. So maybe we could get Nico on the council to get her, as the good deed, to get her passing the grades despite how badly her scores are on the tests. So yeah. And this is where they're just like, you're just making this sound sketchy, right? Like, basically blackmailing Jekyll to have Nico on the council. Which, yeah, it's basically is. But Morihito even knows this. Like, yeah, it's very sketchy, very much obviously blackmailing. But he even says, like, oh, it's our only choice right now. If it's for Nico, he's... and everyone's like, oh yeah, if it's for Nico, he's the kind of guy who will bend the rules with saying, like, this is totally okay. And yeah, that's basically Morihito in a nutshell. So continuing on, Mirio says, no, that won't work. Jekyll will never agree to be to something that basically amounts to dishonesty, which makes sense. Like, Mirio knows Jekyll better than any of them, and even if it's for Nico's sake, I can tell you now, he won't even consider that idea. He won't even consider, like, oh, just borrowing it up just to get them all on the council, including Nico, so that she can actually pass. No, I feel like Jekyll would be the kind of guy like, okay, if I'm going to earn this position, everyone that I go up against is going to have to earn this position. Like, I'm not just going to have it be the kind of thing like, oh, I'm just giving it to them because they're my friends. No. They're probably going to have to earn it, just as far as I'm going to have to earn it. And after 10 minutes of uncomfortable silence, Morihito finally speaks up, announcing that he will run for student council president. So hey, at least the president is getting Morihito on the student council. And yeah, in a way, the president's getting what he wants, but at the same time not getting what he wants, because this is all mostly for Nico's sake, not for the student council president's sake. And so Morihito declared his candidacy for the high school student council president, as the news finally breaks of Morihito running too. What the hell is going on here? Does nobody want to let me be president around here anymore? Which is essentially what Jekyll is saying. The president says, Jekyll, your annoyance has you speaking more crudely. So, and yeah, it makes sense. Like, Jekyll was seeing Morihito like, I don't want to be part of the council. I don't want to be part of the council. I don't want to be. And now all of a sudden he's wanting to be part of the council. And not only that, he's got all the people that something as like his potential council members are the people in his household. So yeah. In Jekyll's eyes, he's thinking like, yeah, this is a bit too suspicious right now that Morihito, the guy who never wanted to be on the council, is now announcing his candidate for council president, and everyone in his household is going to be council members. So yeah, President kind of brushes this off, saying each one is someone I've had my eye on too. And Jekyll's like, oh my god, I can't believe this. This is bad. They're kind of crazy. It's totally the president's time. At this way, I'm going to lose. And if things couldn't be bad for Jekyll, we have the other candidate moving forward. As he says, what, you still haven't found any candidates for your president? As he announces himself as Tadashi Kamasi, and he has his candidates running for student council president, running for the student council. We have Shizuka Morihina, candidate for vice president, Megumi Atami for candidate for secretary, and Mob Hikataki, candidate for accountant. So they're gonna they're going to be like, okay, we're not going to let you forget us. We are the ones that are going up against you, as well as Morihito. As Junko says, oh, I could probably beat those guys. Front runner candidate Ryu Fujuki, but will it be that easy? Who will be the next student council? So we got to check out in part 2, and that's where the chapter ends. So honestly, not a bad chapter. I just wish we had gotten more from what Nico has been doing during her training. I mean, we got updates on it, but it wasn't the kind of updates that I wanted. Now, the question about this is like, hey, if Morihito's going to be the student council president, then obviously Keigo's going to be running for the vice president. Khan, I could imagine running for secretary, and Murio running for accountant. I could see that working, but yeah, it's kind of another thing that they're doing right now, even though it is clearly like a roundabout, sketchy way to kind of get Nico's grades up. But at the same time, they really have no other options at this point, because Nico has lost so much school, and the fact that she will be expelled, that's kind of the crutch that's holding this together. So they're gonna have to do just whatever they can just to make sure that Nico does not get expelled at this point. But again, Nico and everything related to the student council, the way I can see it going, right, Jekyll wins, but they put up a good fight that he still allows them to be part of the council anyway. So even though they are going in a roundabout way today, I do feel like they're going to earn their spots on the council, even if some of them don't want it and they're just doing it for the sake of Nico. But that's something we'll just have to wait and see on this point. But anyway, guys, what did you think of this chapter? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And this will be Lasherluke signing off. Later, guys.